friends, Shay here. So today I'm here to film a video that's probably been long awaited by some of you guys. I just wanted to take some time to gather my thoughts to figure out how to talk to you guys about this particular topic. As you can tell by the title, we're going to talk about the things that you can do with the recent changes that Barnes & Noble is making. So if you're unfamiliar with the changes that Barnes & Noble is making, it is primarily in accordance with how they are handling hardbacks at Barnes & Noble. So a couple of things to remember. Though I am technically employed by Barnes & Noble, I am not representing Barnes & Noble in this matter. I am talking to you as Shay, the reviewer, with the limited knowledge that I do have that I've been able to gather about the situation. So as I've come to understand it as a bookseller at Barnes & Noble, the way that this will be working is that publishers won't blanketly be sending out massive amounts of hardbacks to Barnes & Noble stores anymore. This used to be a practice that they had, especially when publishers were buying space within Barnes & Noble to promote certain books. Barnes & Noble has been independently owned and has not had publisher bought space since late 2019, early 2020, so shortly before the pandemic started. So now that things are starting to calm down, we're starting to see the effects of that a little bit more. So what's happening now is Barnes & Noble isn't necessarily going to send you 60 hardback copies of a book when it first comes out. They'll probably only send you a handful instead. So the reason being for this is I'm going to give you an example of a book. So at my particular Barnes & Noble, there was a book that stayed on our shelves a super long time, and that was, I believe it's A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. I'll leave the cover here. So they initially sent us like 40 hardbacks of this book. We sold maybe 2 hardbacks of this book. And then over time, we discounted it deeply. It still didn't sell. And these 38 books were sent back to the publisher after almost a year's worth of time. Because now Barnes & Noble has a contract with publishers where they can only send back X amount of books a year to them. So instead of having 38 copies of a Paula Hawkins book collecting dust on our shelves, with these changes, it allows us to order only a handful of those when they come out. And then if it sells well, we can order more in. So if you're worried about something not being carried at your local Barnes & Noble when it's coming out, here's what you can do to ensure that those things are now being carried in your store. The biggest thing you can do is first, talk to the booksellers at your local store. The booksellers will do everything they can to help you ensure that books that you're passionate about are kept in store. The second thing you can do is do ship to store orders. Because what you do when you're shipping a book to the store is you're letting the ordering people in your area know that this is a book that people in your area are interested in. So what you would do is you could pre-order it if you're ahead of it in time, but if it comes out and it's not in your store, you can ship it to the store. Shipping it to your store instead of shipping it to your home is usually better because then they'll see it come in and go back out quickly, which means they are more likely to order 3 more back in to replace the one that you bought so that it's there and available for other people to purchase. Another thing you can do is just specifically talk to your bookseller about particular authors that you might be worried might not be coming in, because the booksellers have a capacity to shortlist books, which means we can put in an order to the person that does the ordering, with a small quantity of like 1 to 3 usually is what I do, and let them know, hey, I have several customers asking about this particular book. Why don't we bring one in to try it? So that is another thing you can do. The other thing that we as reviewers in the reviewing space have to remember is that the average customer is not buying a hardback book. They are waiting for it to come out in paperback, and they usually buy the paperback, especially when it comes to our young adult and middle grade books. A lot of the parents that end up buying these books aren't 100% sure their kids are going to even like it, or they're afraid their kids are going to destroy it, so they're not going to invest the money in a hardback book. They will either take their kids to the library for them to check it out initially to make sure they like it and then buy them a nice copy, or they will just wait for the paperback to come out and then buy the paperback. Or if anything, they'll wait till the series is finished and they can do a box set for Christmas. That's how a lot of adults, at least in my area, handle shopping for kids with books. They're not going to default buy a hardcover. If they see it's only available in hardcover, the biggest answer I hear is, well, I'll wait a little while longer then, especially if the paperback will be coming out soon. So we just need to remember that the average person is not buying a hardback book. They are buying the paperback book. The paperback books tend to sell twice as many, if not more than that, than hardbacks. But these books aren't necessarily unavailable to Barnes & Noble. They're just not blanketly being sent out to Barnes & Nobles like they used to. The publishers are kind of shifting their campaigns now for new and debut books, especially just because they don't have that opportunity to buy space in a bookstore to promote it anymore. Another thing Barnes has been doing a lot more is exclusive covers, especially for hardbacks. So a lot of debuts or sophomore novels or sophomore series from authors are getting that kind of treatment as well. So know that Barnes & Noble isn't going away from selling hardbacks altogether. They will still be selling and carrying hardbacks. That is a huge misconception that's been going around. Is yes, they will still be selling and carrying them. They just won't be carrying them in as high of quantities as they used to, unless your area is proving that they can sell a lot of hardbacks. So do know that you can still get your favorite books from your favorite authors in hardback through Barnes & Noble. You just have to go about it a little bit differently to make sure that the people doing the ordering in your area know that you want this book carried in your store. So don't have just you do it. Have any local friends that are also interested in the book do the same thing, so that it continues to be brought into your store. And once your store has a track record of an author selling well in your store, the ordering people will be more inclined to, out the gate, order these books for you. And that way they're not having to do the ship to store thing. But ship to store is the safest way, and talking to a bookseller about shortlisting books. Those are going to be the best things that you can do to make sure that what you want carried in hardback in your Barnes & Noble is being carried in hardback in your Barnes & Noble. So with that said, that's all I have to say in this video. Yes, I know it's not a lot that you can do, but these are big influential things that you can do to affect how the buying and purchasing goes in your area. So again, recruit all the people you know that want this book to treat it the same way. Ship to stores or shortlisting books for your area are the safest bets. And with that said, again, I will once again give you the disclaimer that I do not represent Barnes & Noble in this video. I'm talking to you as Shay, the book reviewer, and I want you all to know that I promise things will be okay. A lot of these things, you won't really notice too much of a difference in your store, other than there won't be 40 copies of Paula Hawkins sitting on the shelf for a year and then all of a sudden disappearing. We're trying to avoid those kinds of situations, which is why the purchasing of hardbacks and the quantity of hardbacks is changing. So this means we'll be able to carry more of what you love in the store, just in smaller quantities. Thanks again for watching this video. If you're here just because you love me, leave me a green heart emoji, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Was it all just a dream, just all in my head?